into conference play in terms of you've been in all those tight situations where you had to make a play and you did?
Yeah, I think, those are things is you try to replicate them in practice and in some scrimmage games and different things of that nature, but it's never the same as doing it out here in the game. So, we'll be able to draw on that experience a lot because, obviously covering this league and you seeing it, me coaching in it, that won't be the last time we have close games this year at all. And, you can look and there'll be a team and, it'll be the classic story. They've lost 12 one-run games, right, or whatever, and didn't make a tournament or kept them from hosting or whatever it might be, right? So I'm hoping we're going to be able to it. And believe it or not, I would rather be in those close games, to your point, than, yeah, don't get me wrong, run rules are nice every now and then, but at the end of the day, you want to be in tight ball games and you want to see your guys, perform under those kind of conditions.
What's the most important thing you've learned about this team during the build-up to conference play?
We got some depth. I think, when you look at it from a coaching standpoint, like we are going to be able to run some different lineups out there if we need to. It's kind of like I've done a lot of stuff today, so been asked, about our pitching staff. Well, like example, Kentucky, one of their strengths is their starting pitching. I think one of the strengths of our team is just the depth of our pitching staff. We don't have that guy, at least right now, that, I'm not saying somebody won't do it. I'm just saying, like, on paper, you look at it and you go, we don't have the guy who's going to go 5 or 6 innings. We're preparing and setting up for guys to go, and, if it's good after 2 innings, great. If it's good after 5 innings, great. If it's good after 7 innings, great. But we also have enough depth that we can match up and make moves, pretty early.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, please, go ahead.
So there's not a specific plan as far as, we're going to have this guy to open for a couple innings and then jump from there?
No, we set up, our starters this week.
Sure.
Based on, matchup, what we thought we're matching up. If that matchup, like I say, carries them through the 5th or 6th inning, good for us. But if it only carries us through the 2nd, we're not scared to go to the pen with the depth we've had. And, I mean, obviously you can see that, through the box scores of how we've played so far. So, yeah, there's not a – if you're asking me if it's scripted out, no, but kind of.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. So is it going to be Finley to start Friday?
So we released Goldstein's going Friday, Hoskins Saturday, Finley Sunday.
Understood. Okay. So with Kentucky, obviously this team y'all went and got swept with last year. How important is it at home, going to Florida next week to make sure that you start with a couple wins here this week?
Yeah, I mean, on paper it's right. It's important, but it's kind of like I tell our guys, like, man, every game matters. You better focus on tomorrow and play all 27 outs, and however that one finishes up, great. You better wake up the next day and be ready to do it again. I mean, you look at teams. You look at LSU last year, for example, who climbed into a regional and their start. I think at one point, I don't quote me on this, but maybe they were like 2-8.
Yeah, that sounds right.
2-7 after 3 series and something along those lines. And then Florida comes in here and gets off the start they get off to. I mean, there's been a lot of teams jump out of this league and you look up and they're like, wow, they're 1-5, 0-6, 2-4, and it's like, wow, they're whatever. Obviously, I don't want that to be us, but that's not it. But I guess my point is it's just how good the league is, man. I mean, I think it's awesome that basketball is now sees, the basketball league in the Southeastern Conferences, where here is going to have a record number of teams in that tournament, and that's just kind of what goes on every year with us in baseball.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Kentucky's pitching. I believe it's a 1.89 ERA. What makes them so effective?
Their starters do a really good job of throwing the ball where they throw the ball. Their starters elevate their fastball quite a bit, and they got a secondary pitch to go with it. So, I mean, and they've just been executing those pitches really well.
And then how do you combat that as an offense?
Get in there and get off your A swing. Without giving away all our trade secrets here, obviously we have ways that we prepare for what we see their pitchers do with stuff. But our matchup grid will help us with that too. We have some guys who can hit their how do I want to say this, their stuff, or at least have a chance to hit their stuff better than other guys. So you'll see those guys in the lineup tomorrow.
Curious, we've talked a lot about the pitching depth and all that. Was that something that you specifically wanted going into the offseason? Like, let me get a bunch of different guys that can play in a bunch of different ways?
Well, we didn't know that, it was going to shake out the way it did from a starting standpoint. I think the thing we knew is we felt like last year we were, one, maybe two arms away from getting to Omaha. And we had leaned on those guys so hard to get to the Super, and we're just out of gas. It just happens. They're human beings. So we felt like we needed a little more depth, in case we were fortunate enough to get in that situation again. And so we did that. Now, did we know it was going to turn into what it is now? No. As far as like being able to match up and throw a whole bunch of different guys, you never know that until it is. But it's just kind of the way it shook out.
Sure. Yeah.
I got one more real quick. Yeah, the offensive versatility as well. I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. The fact that you're able to move so many pieces around. Is it kind of those 11 guys that you're just going to be able to keep playing with this weekend, or you feel like you've got it pretty set?
Yeah, no, I think you'll see some guys you hadn't seen a bunch yet. There's a chance to see them. I really think at the end of the day, we got 14 guys that when you get into league play now, that you'll see in some variety of role, whether it's, so-and-so always comes in and plays shortstop in the 8th inning, for defensive reasons or whatever, although I'm using them hypothetically. Kobe's fine at shortstop. I think you'll see some things like that. We'll really utilize the roster, now that the SEC has expanded it to 30 players.
Right.
We're going to take full advantage of that.